Russillo Show on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
First hour flew by today with Randy Scott, Ricky Pietro, PJ Carlissimo. You can check that out on the podcast. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Now you can test drive Snapshot. Even if you have insurance with another company, see how much you could save before you switch. Game 4 tonight. Is it over? The series feels over. I don't know. What? Give me a percent chance.
Pass.
Would anyone have come on? Like, what if I had said this morning with you, I can see the Cavs getting 4 straight. Would they have let me even do the radio show? Be like, we got to keep using you on SportsCenter. He isn't coming back.
They would have driven you into the ground.
Or to Cleveland.
Next flight?
Can you be on countdown at 8?
Is there a direct from Bradley to Hopkins?
Wow, good call there. I don't spend a ton of time in Cleveland. I'm more of a Columbus guy over the years.
That's a you problem. Columbus is great, though. Columbus is sneaky, like, wow, this is a real city.
Oh,
skyscrapers, the whole thing. Yeah,
no doubt.
Do you want it to be over? Let me ask you that.
I do,
the biggest hoops fan I know, and you want this done.
Yeah, I'm good. Ready to move on to the draft.
Same frustration I have in terms of, like, how many ways can we chop this up?
And we also had that week off before Game 1, so that didn't help. But if they got Game 1, or excuse me, if Cleveland got Game 3, this would kind of have a feel to it, right? You'd be going, I know who Golden State is. I know that they're much better. I know they shouldn't have lost last year in the finals. They did. Okay, all these things. But can you allow yourself to have a Game 4 possibility where this is 2-2? I mean, at least that would be on the table. But as Cleveland has said numerous times post that Game 3 deal, and I'm just watching again. I was watching the replay here.
It's on here, yeah.
Right. And J.R. Smith hits this 3, and then Durant comes down and misses one, and they're up 6, and you're going, now you're about to lose and never score again.
But I'm reminded watching this just how many good looks Cleveland missed, man. Like, guys who were brought there specifically for that.
The J.R. Smith 3 that he hits on the right side, LeBron drives, is at the hoop, and then, well, not at the hoop in the restricted area, but looks like he could keep the drive going, and he kicks it out. JR hits the 3 into the holsters.
Sure.
Letting everybody have it.
And that wasn't talked about enough leading into the Korver play, the one that's been dissected, right? Should he or shouldn't he have passed it?
It is crazy when I watch games over. I don't do it all the time. You look at a play here or there, and you just go, man, this actually was something. I mean, there's just so many little things over the course of a game. You go, actually, this was a really big deal. The foul on Ian Clark, like all these things. I don't want to list all these things because it just could get kind of boring, actually. Russillo Show reminding you can watch all 3 hours of the show, and that is right here on ESPN News. Okay, here's the deal. Steve Kerr just spoke to the media talking about all of these teams that said that they could beat him, and it feels like Steve Kerr is me.
Have you ever actually had the conversation with them? Did they ever call you up and actually have a conversation about that kind of thing?
No. But they're all right. They would all kill us. The game gets worse as time goes on.
Yeah, it's hard to watch, right?
Players are less talented than they used to be. The guys in the 50s would have destroyed everybody. It's weird how human evolution is sort of like goes in reverse in sports. Players get weaker, smaller, less skilled. I can't explain it.
I can't either.
That's so great. Did you coach him on that? That's tongue-in-cheek sarcasm.
So, Rudy, it almost sounds like I wrote that for him. Is that not? Like, I'm not.
Maybe he's a fan of the show. I don't know.
He used to listen.
He still does.
You brought in like evolution and like how players regress over time.
We're going to be on all 4s in the NBA in like 20 years.
Cro-Magnon man in reverse.
Right.
What do you think set him off? Which one bothers him the most? 04 Pistons, right? It's got to be Rashid saying the 04 Pistons would wax this Warriors team.
Yeah, it wasn't even beat him. It was a sweep. Like, it's not good enough just to say you would beat the Warriors if you were in a team from the last 30 years. You got to say you're going to sweep them.
I even think the 96 Bulls one's kind of ridiculous.
Uh-oh. Ooh.
Wait a sec. Wait. Hold on. That the 96 Bulls would sweep the Warriors? Nobody's sweeping this Warriors
Nobody's
team.
sweeping them at all.
We can be friends.
It's simple math. The Warriors have 4 star players, and the Bulls had 3?
4. Ron Harper.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Tony Kukoc.
There you go. Fair. The 04, I'm looking at this roster. Darvin Ham was on that 04 Pistons team.
I like Darvin Ham. I said it.
Tayshaun matching up on Durant would be interesting to see.
The thing I loved about the Detroit team, defensively, they were, you get Chauncey talking about this, but they could switch everything. And it was such a huge advantage for those guys. But I like that from Curry. That was Curry said it too. Curry addressed this. All right. So Curry, everybody thinks you guys stink.
It's just kind of comedy for me because the hypothetical game is never one I've played and never one I don't want to be in that situation where you're having to argue that. So, like Draymond said it best earlier when he was asked about it. Every team that they've talked about it was great in their era, great in their time, was great for the league, and inspiration for up-and-coming hoopers like myself watching that type of competition. And it's our time to do that now, too. So, you can obviously have those barbershop-type debates of just who's better, who's what, ranking, all-time greats and teams and things like that, which is fun and certain.
No, we got it. It's just sort of going, and we get the gist of it.
Only because the Rasheed one is the most recent one.
The Rasheed one bothers you more than any of the other ones.
Well, what rules are we playing by? Are we playing by the defensive rules that Pistons team was allowed to play by, or are we playing by these rules? Because that feels like a pretty clear dividing line in terms of NBA eras.
You have to play by the rules where I think you allowed hand checking and all that kind of stuff. All right? Because I think the three-point shooting would be enough to freak out the guys in the 90s. Look, the Pistons thing is, 13 years ago feels like a long time, but it's not that long ago. It's not. Chauncey was still in the league a couple years ago. 2 years ago? Rasheed was on that Celtics team, cashing checks.
Tayshaun was still in the league?
Tayshaun was in a trade 2 years ago.
It feels like a long time ago.
It is.
It is and it isn't, right?
Darko's on this team. That's how long ago it was.
Who's guarding Darko? That's the question.
A folding chair is guarding Darko, man.
Darko was great in workouts. Can't tell you how impressive he was.
Would you see him in person? Were you there for some of those workouts?
Oh, no, I was just talking to teams that would have him in, and they're like, this guy's insane. He's not even shaving. He's so good.
It's kind of an issue.
And then he wasn't.
Yeah. No, he didn't pan out.
Was there one other thing that we were supposed to do there? The Steven Jackson Warriors, his 8th-seeded Warriors, he said last year they beat the 73-win Warriors team. No one's topping that.
Ooh, boy.
Nobody's beating that one. That's why I'm so bummed we didn't get Daniel Marshall today. I was going to ask him if his 07 Cavs would have swept the 17 Warriors.
Maybe Zerbiak gets back to you, though.
He hasn't texted me back yet.
He was also on that Sonics team with Durant that rookie year.
He would have been a great guest.
I'm saying.
Larry Hughes did not pick up. Do we call Boobie Gibson?
He's on his ranch.
What about Ira Newble? Can we just call him? No?
These sound like name generator, made up names. I'm sorry. I'm sure
Ira Newble was on the Cavs. I just don't know.
Yeah.
Was he on the 07 Cavs? Do I dare go back? How about this tease? Was Ira Newble on that 07 Cavs? Find out next with Randy Scott, Russillo Show on ESPN Radio. Before we find out about Ira Newble, I definitely want to let you guys know about something that's really cool here. It's going on, and it's not the game. Although the game, that guy can model, huh? Speaking of Saks underwear. Proud to share that Mike and Mike have been nominated for the National Radio Hall of Fame, and this vote will be determined by the fans. So vote or text online. You can go to radiovote.com, but you can text 49400, send the message 70 from Mike and Mike. Again, text 49400, send the message 70 to vote for Mike and Mike, or go online at radiovote.com, cast your vote there. One vote is permitted by cell and email address. Voting closes June 19th. So, we were asking earlier, right, about Ira Newble?
Yeah, we were dying to know.
He was on the Cavs.
You were right.
03 to 08. So after the sweep, he didn't play a ton that season. But he was you got in more action there a little bit later. And that today is your Ira Newble segment.
Who on that team do you most want to have a drink with? On that 07 Cavs team? Is it Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Scott Pollard, or LeBron?
Scott Pollard, huh? Sasha Pavlovich. He always looked like a good time.
You're going to get some interesting Comey takes from Pollard.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. Eric Snow, leader of men. David.
Leader of men.
I don't know. This is a tough. Let me get back to you on that one.
Yeah.
We table that a little bit later.
Circle
all right,
back.
perfect. All right, sounds good. All right. If you want to get in touch with us, at Russillo Show with Randy Scott today, 1-800-Flowers.com, Twitter feed, at Russillo Show. I had said this almost exactly a month ago.
If they end up doing this thing and winning it all,
The Warriors.
if they end up doing this thing and winning it all, it's going to be the least celebrated of any of the championships in recent memory. This is going to be rivaling the Yankees free agent purges of the late
2009, yeah.
Yeah, that or even kind of the late 90s, early 2000s. But it may feel even worse than that. There's just going to be so many people that go, eh.
Said it a month ago. That was Adnan.
Still feel that way?
Doesn't it feel like that's exactly what's about to happen? The Warriors would actually be in, if we cared about these things. Like, we talk about a lot of things that players probably don't care about. Shocker. I mean, man, that would really hurt. But a lot of this stuff, like, yeah, we don't really ever do any of that stuff, or we don't care. But we're doing it right now. It's nonstop. Maybe it's all over tonight. But I think the Warriors would be better off if we were really, if we cared about all the stuff that we do. They'd be better off if it went 6 or 7 games. Because you'd be like, oh, they were actually challenged. They were pretty good. And, they got through this Cavs team. The worse the Cavs look, the less, I'm not saying this is how I feel, but the less the public will respect what the Warriors just did.
I think because of the Durant factor, it's going to be.
It was that way anyway?
Well, no, I think it was going to be a relief more than a celebration. Like, especially probably from Durant. Not the fan base necessarily, because that Oakland fan base is just a different beast in general, but I get the feeling along the lines of your Yankees comparison. I was thinking this before I even heard that soundbite from a month ago. Like, this feels more businessy. It feels less organic, and it feels like there'll be more of a, like, exhale, thank goodness, all of this stuff I'm dealing with off the court from Durant is now worth it. If you are Kevin Durant, or if you're in his camp, so to speak, it's like, all right, we followed through, we came, we did what we intended to do. We didn't fall on our face. You know what I mean? Like, more relief than celebration. Is that fair?
Yeah, I don't think it's wrong. Like, I'm just throwing these things out here. I can tell you that I personally, if they go 16-0 and they do it with Durant, that's still kind of sick. Like, isn't that kind of sick?
Yeah. Yeah, and okay, if you lose one game a series leading up to this point, people who hate Durant are going to be like, yeah, but it wasn't perfect. Lost to the Blazers. Blazers got him.
They were going to lose game 1 to San Antonio. I mean, they were going to lose San Antonio. They're down, 23. Kawhi gets hurt, Yeah. But, Sir, you have a different one, because this actually plays into exactly what we're talking about here on how the players actually talk about this stuff. There's no way they obsess about this stuff the way we do. No way. It's a complete waste of time.
My question was, do you think that whether it was at some point during this year, maybe right after they win the title, maybe 10 years from now, that any of the guys in the Warriors say, hey, this was like kind of cheap and a little bit too easy?
I don't think anybody says it was too easy. I do think people who never play, people like us might say that. Maybe not like you, but people who never played. I don't think any athlete ever takes for granted getting a ring, ever.
Did you just say maybe not me because I played? You heard Stu's rant the other day, right? He played. Stu played. I didn't. What you're asking, Stu, and I'm not laughing. I think I'm just laughing at, like, all right, clock goes 0, Golden State sweeps. It's all elation. I don't think as an athlete you have any moment where you're going, this is incredible. We did it. Man, we're kind of cheap, though.
But it won't be right after they win the title. I'm saying, like, when they're sitting at home by themselves, like in the off season, you don't think at any point it will creep into their mind that, like, that was kind of unfair and a little bit too easy.
I think it'll be more and let's get back to in the moment. I think it'll be, you played the Humble Bless game, or did you guys? Did you guys do that?
We never got around to it. We trademarked it, though.
You were talking about the
It's called the Bless Humble Pie game.
Okay. So relief versus elation, to borrow your word, Cerruti. How much relief, how much elation? Because I think in the moment, as the confetti's coming, do they do confetti on the road? They still do, right? In the NBA? If there's confetti, whatever it is, whatever the moment is, I feel like it's at least 50-50 elation versus relief.
But you don't think there's any... So we're all on the same page. There's nothing in the moment where you go... I would be... If I were Bledsoe, Brady's first Super Bowl against the Rams, I would be like, yeah...
I think he was.
He kind of was.
I think he said as much.
I would have a really hard time with that, even if I knew this is my team and I care about all my friends. If I was on the bench in an NBA team, I would get up, I would high five, but if I never played, I wouldn't redo my man cave with scenes from Game 4 tonight. Like, I just wouldn't. I would feel like a clown knowing I really, deep down, I'd got some free gear and I have a good salary, but I contributed nothing to these guys. The guys that are doing it in the moment, like, this is still hard. Like, they look at this as still being really hard as the player, even if we from the outside think what they're about to do is extremely easy.
But I think for the rest of their lives, they're going to be told that it wasn't a big deal.
And they're going to hate that when people say it to them.
And it's going to get real annoying. And I just wonder if they'll ever somewhat accept that.
You want them to.
I honestly think that at some point this year, all of them, maybe not Draymond because he's kind of crazy in a good way. I think all of them have been like, this could kind of be a bummer.
I think because of how tight it was for the 1 seed out west, and because of how Game 1 went against San Antonio, I think if they had that, maybe they had that, let's say in like New Year's, they start thinking that way. That got shaken out of them pretty quickly by the Spurs. And it's amazing to think about how different this conversation would be if Game 1 had gone the way it was going in that Western Conference Final.
But what if it was just, 16-0 is a thing. It's a thing. But 16-1 is not that much different than 16-0. It's just you're the first people to do it.
Oh, I think it's completely different.
I kind of do too. God, I'm on Cerruti's side on that one. I think.
Should I get out of here for a segment? Because
it's making me question it though. The fact that
Cerruti's like, you guys being on the same page isn't a bad thing. If you and Freeze Pops are on the same page, everything you should reevaluate yourself on the way back. I just look at it as Golden State. Like, I know it's a historical thing that's very different and hasn't been done. I'm just not going to go that, Golden State was that much better. And before anybody drops the Brady and the Pats 16-0 and then 18-1 on me, that loss is a bit more significant than Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals on your way to a championship, because I already know that one's coming and going, well, how different do you look at them? Well, a lot differently. That was the Super Bowl.
But they hung a banner, right, Freeze Pops? Didn't they hang a 16-0 banner at Gillette?
No comment.
Oh, okay. All right. Just wasn't sure.
We don't like that banner.
I think they took it down. I see what you're saying. I understand.
Okay. Does anyone else? So we were talking about this, and it's weird. It's kind of this weird, the countdown is on. We're over 6 hours away from Game 4 coverage. Are you bummed out about this? How bad of a time are you actually having? We want to hear from different fans. Not Golden State, not Cavs. A science experiment again with Randy Scott, the Russillo Show. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. It's ESPN Radio.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Longtime listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Working concept here. Could you watch Judge Mathis with the sound off and get which percentage of the outcomes of these cases right? I'm putting myself down. I get more than 75% correct. Guilty, not guilty, plaintiff, defendant, however you want to phrase it. I could not listen to the show. I can just sit here and watch it, and I can tell you who is going to win and who is going to lose more than 75% of the time. That is my working theory. I may take a sabbatical from work. I'm just going to sit at home, sweatpants, cereal, watch as much Judge Mathis as I can, and put this theory to the test. Who's in? Who's coming with me?
I'm there. I'll chart it. I'll be your stenographer.
Yeah, you should be there secondhand just to witness it, so I'm not juking the numbers.
What cereal are we eating? Cereal?
I kind of like Cheerios and cornflakes. I wasn't allowed to have sugar cereal, so I never developed a taste for it.
I'm out. Give me Golden Grams or go home.
You know what? I'll get you a box of gold. If you want to sit there and observe me watching Judge Mathis with no sound, you can pick out any cereal you want, Randy.
Michelle looks distracted. It's probably because there's a 3 p.m. Eastern Time press conference called by the St. Louis Cardinals just now.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Look out. New beer sponsor? Maybe.
Somebody coming back from injury?
Miller Lite invading the STL? Maybe.
I think this might be a big one.
Oh, I was just kind of joke. Okay. We'll keep tabs
bad?
on.
Cardinals struggling right now. St. Louis on the panic bus.
Oh, my.
You're not talking Matheny here, are you?
We'll see. I have some texts out.
Okay,
right.
25 minutes from now, St. Louis baseball. It's Russillo Show, at Russillo Show, 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed with Randy Scott. So we like to do these little science experiments that we have. This one's not going to be based on Judge Mathis, but I'm telling you, the uncle in this case right now has no chance because the other girl is a 9. Let's get a little music bed here, Freeze Pops. The question was this, and the phone's absolutely lit up immediately. How bad of a time are you having with the NBA Finals? We want to hear from non-Cavs fans, hopefully. Let's start with Jay in Louisiana. Jay?
I have an awesome time, man. Great time.
Oh,
I'm having a great time. I'm having a great time because Kevin Durant is proving, like you guys know, that he's been a great player. And LeBron is, I don't know how you could say LeBron is better than him. And y'all, LeBron has been anointed since he came in the league. He hasn't surpassed Kobe to me. Like, he went to Miami, he had Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Ray Allen, all these different people. He got swept in the finals already. You can't exclude that. I mean, he lost fifth. This is going to be his fifth finals. Like, he has a great resume.
All right. That's an aggressive turn signal in the background for Jay. I think he's at a stoplight or a corner.
Jay, we love Louisiana, but so far the directions were 0 for 1. We wanted people that are having a bad time watching these finals. Jay? Oh, nobody's having a bad time. All right, so we'll go to Ebony in Virginia.
All right.
Hey, this is Ebony here. I'm having a great time watching the finals for 2 reasons. I actually called the sweep coming into it. I don't even watch basketball. I'm a huge football fan, so go Patriots, first of all. The sooner this is over, the sooner football season can come back. I like the fact that it ignites the argument of LeBron being compared to Michael Jordan because, for real, there's so many things that's going against LeBron to be heralded as the best NBA player of all.
That's interesting that a non-basketball fan's getting in on it. That supports my idea that these finals aren't bad because it's still basketball played at a very high level. Ebony just supported it.
Paul in New York.
Ryan Russillo. I am having a horrible time watching these finals. I'm having such a bad time that my girlfriend gets nervous when I'm on rooftops or when we're at the hardware store next to the rope. I think that Darren Williams, he's shooting like a double amputee, and I think he would be better served if he got a...
I'm sorry.
The double amputee thing.
The suicide jokes were a strong start,
Right.
and then the double amputee thing, that was a bit much from Paul in New York. You can see it Side Splitters or whatever the comedy joint is there on 75th.
The question we thought was, how bad of a time are you having and why? And so far we're only 1 for 3 on that. Let's go to Matt in Minnesota. Matt?
Hello, hey, sorry. Yeah, I'm having a good time watching the finals, even though the teams have been playing, Warriors have been playing great. I think the teams have been playing really good. This is what we wanted to see for 3 years now. Everyone who says that Kevin Durant's better than LeBron James has just not been paying attention for the past 6 years, but that's another story. I'm actually most excited to watch it tonight, to see the sweep, to see Draymond Green actually winning a championship. I would love to see his reaction in Cleveland. There might be a fight tonight. Maybe we'll get mouthed in the Palestines too.
There's a lot to digest there. Draymond's won a title, though.
He has.
Okay.
He says no regrets over what happened last year.
Draymond does?
Yeah.
Or do you, about the way the segment's going?
Let's go to James in St. Louis. You're on game night. James, what's got you on your game?
Hello, gentlemen. I just want to start out by saying that I'm not a fan of either team. I respect all of the players and all the teams in there, but this era of super teams, it is what it is. I'm from the old days back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and back in those days, the teams were built by draftees and development of players, and I understand it's a different era, but now with these super teams, it's very anticlimactic, and they're expected to win. And to me, as a fan, it makes it uninteresting to watch.
Okay.
All right. I would argue it's two super teams going against each other, but I get it.
When you're super out super somebody else's super, then they can only be like that super team, man. That phrase all summer. It's going to be the summer of the super team. I can't wait.
How super's your super?
Shouts out to David, too, for traveling through time and talking to us. It's like I'm from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Okay.
Yeah. Got it. Check.
If that guy actually is a time traveler, we shouldn't have been talking about the NBA Finals with him. We wasted a massive opportunity to ask more important questions.
I agree with the Minnesota guy was my favorite guy.
Yeah, huge miss. Do we do one more of these? Freeze Pops wants us to take calls all 3 hours.
Let's do one more.
All right, bring him in, Randy.
Let's save it. Alex, is this Alex in Indiana?
No, David in Iowa.
I thought David and I would just win.
No.
All right.
Who
Hey,
are you?
you
And
there?
where are you from? Yes. Are you from the future?
This is David in Iowa, and I'm having an awful time watching these NBA Finals because I find Steph Curry very insufferable with how he hangs that mouthpiece out of his mouth, and then he does the high step after the three-pointer. Yeah. I just think it's awful, and I think it's poor. It's bad luck for LeBron because he is the best player out there, and he's just caught a bad draw.
All right. I'm with him on the mouth. Do you get as annoyed with the mouthpiece thing as a lot of people do?
What I do is I go, is he the greatest shooter I've ever seen? And I say yes. And then I go, how much do I want to let the mouthpiece prevent me from acknowledging how great of a shooter he is? And I go, not much.
All right. You strike me, though, as having a low threshold for, like, annoying personal habits.
Yeah, but if you're good, I give you a pass on a lot of stuff.
All right.
Yeah. All right, that was a science experiment. We're done. We're done here.
The game night thing was a nice callback. What's got you off your game?
Yeah, because that used to be the thing you'd be like, what can the Cardinals do to clinch the NFC West?
The Minnesota guy was Chamber of Commerce, Minnesota. He was like, oh, hey, well, 2 good teams there. Like, it was Fargo stuff. It was good.
I want to get back to this Judge Mathis theory.
Go on.
I may do that next. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next, but it may be about Judge Mathis, and it could be really good. With Randy Scott, it's Russillo Show. It's ESPN Radio. Game 4 reminder tonight right here on ESPN Radio, 8 Eastern, and on ABC as well. The Russillo Show with Randy Scott today. Nothing makes a spring birthday or anniversary more magical than 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, 1-800-Flowers is offering an exclusive 24 for 24 offer, 24 multicolored roses for $24. That's only $1 per rose. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. You didn't know I was doing this. I just literally thought of this 10 seconds ago as you were talking about all the social media fights that you've been in here lately.
Oh, no.
By the way, did any of us track who won that last courtroom deal on Judge Mathis? That was your job, Randy.
It was plaintiff. Plaintiff won.
Oh, guess who the plaintiff was?
Yeah.
The Smoke Show.
Was she?
Yes.
Yeah? Or just by, like,
she was pretty attractive
Judge
for a courtroom?
Mathis standard.
Oh, so what are you trying to say? Judge Mathis would like her?
No.
That sounds a little racist.
No.
She was black.
Nope. I'm
right.
saying for daytime syndication.
Right. Daytime courtroom, real drama, she is on the hotter side of things. Because a lot of times it's not as good.
Noted.
Right.
All right.
Speaking of attractiveness.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Now, I don't know. We got a girl in pink, skinnier. We have another girl not as skinny, but has a great hair deal going on. I'm going to say she seems earnest, and the other one seems sketchy. I'm going to go with the blonde.
Okay. All right. This I will keep track of.
Okay, great. Perfect.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of guys that give you a hard time about you not being as attractive as your wife?
Yeah. Yes.
A lot, right?
So, okay, you're talking about how you're friends with a lot of the Barstool guys, and the way that
I'm friendly, yeah. When we're not getting an RV together or anything.
The way that I found out what a squid was because I was called a squid several times in sort of like reference to when my wife moved up there and went on TV to Boston. It was like, I can't believe that squid, Randy Scott, got her. So that's
not possession, though.
Not possession. No. Just got the right to like share space. With her.
And now she is. So anybody knows this. Like you guys can figure it out. But like she's what? She's on Fox,
NBC.
Or NBC. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've been out of the market for a while. So she is local. She's straight news, right?
Yeah.
Not weather. She's not there for her looks and doing weather, pointing to a cloud here or there.
I got home and I was like, "Hey, what happened with I just called it the Comey thing." Like, crystallize it for me. She goes, it was hours of testimony.
What was everyone talking about yesterday?
Months leading up to it. And I was like, yeah, give me like your best 20 seconds on what, I just want to know, I want to sound smart at work when people ask me. Just tell me what to think. She was like, all right, well.
What was her, brief synopsis of the Comey thing.
That he used certain words a certain number of times, and like, there's going to be a statement by the other side, and just
that was a big deal then for them at NBC. That was a big deal for her. What, 6 o'clock?
Huge.
Is she doing the 6?
She's doing the 6.
Whoa,
yeah.
That's when you know. Okay, so you aren't, no offense, as a guy that myself has been called extremely lucky. Didn't know you had it in you. Are you kidding me? Is that your sister?
Yeah.
Like, you holding her for ransom. Like, just, how does that make you feel? Because when somebody sits there and compliments your significant other to an extent that it's like this surprise that she would even give you the time of day, it then becomes a, hey, you're sort of not complimenting me now.
Dennis Eckersley was the biggest offender of that. Like, I
love him.
drop a name. Like, I made the mistake of bringing my wife to my last job at Nesson just for dinner. Like, she was off and I had to work. And Eckersley was like, popped out of his chair, shook her hand, like everything but like
he was into it.
Everything but like kiss her hand in front of me, just like be like super polite. And then she leaves, and it was just constant like, so where'd you guys meet? Like all this incredulous like, and how did that come together? And like, oh, Fort Myers. Okay, yeah. And everybody was sort of like hanging out.
Everybody wants an excuse for why it happened.
Yeah.
They want it to be, his dad owns,
Sure.
Dell Computers. Be like, oh, that's why. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not me. Like I'm not incapable. He has like he met her when she was in Market 84. Oh, he got in early.
She and I
Did you
share a deep abiding hatred of Sidney Crosby? So that's kind of where we bond. No, I'm joking. Yeah, no, it's. Dude,
do you think you got to her before she got to the bigger markets and you locked it up early, and then at that point she kind of liked you, which is always tough for women to move on once they like you.
Yeah, that's
right.
Convincing them to like you is kind of important in a relationship.
So then when she's in a top 20 market, it's too late.
Yeah, and you get the kids in there. Like that's kind of, it's like, you're going to leave us,
So what you need to do is, if you're in your 20s right now and you're doing what we do and you meet somebody that's more attractive than you, if you're in, I don't know, Corpus Christi, if you're,
you're in the 100s now,
right, yeah,
Corpus Christi.
Yuma's
160.
Isn't
maybe
that always
180.
the joke that it's like that's like the worst, or not worst, but just the spunkiest market?
Smallest. There's some in Montana that are 200.
Freeze Pops, have you seen Randy's wife?
Yes.
I was enthusiastic.
That was the best.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, like I don't enjoy this. Is so funny. It's like you're referencing something that is not enjoyable to experience.
No.
While
having a blast doing it.
Yeah, like
Freeze Pops, do you feel like it seems like you have more content?
Yeah, Freeze Pop. Are you an avid watcher of?
She does a good job.
NBC when you're home. Good. Yeah, she does. She's really good. She's really smart. And when we met in Fort Myers, there wasn't a ton of that among the people we hung out with. It was more like folks who were just sort of passing through, and she was not one of those like if it bleeds it leads kind of people in the local market. The people who come into the newsroom are like, oh, there's a fire, I want to go cover it. And they're like, okay, well, there were no, injuries. And they're like, oh, forget it, I don't want to deal with that. Like, she's maintained her human side throughout being in journalism.
Freeze Pops, do you have any more commentary?
I enjoy her work.
What do I like less? Your reaction to what he's saying or what he's saying? I don't know.
I don't even think it's that funny. I just know Freeze Pops. I know you. Your wife's hot, and now we're talking about it. So there you go.
I can't wait to play this back for her.
Hey, what's LeBron's legacy? Next.